Hello, my lovelies. Hi, I'm Madam Crystal Butterfly, and for those of you who were here last time, yes, I'm still dealing with the same medieval bullshit I was dealing with last time. I can't get out of this world because my wand's still not working. I tried it again, it wasn't working. Thankfully, that whole war that was going on when I first arrived here has ended, and another wand shop has opened up. I didn't hear about this one, but people didn't tell me because they weren't expecting it to open back up because, war. Anyway, so they're working on my wand right now. They're not sure if they can fix it, but they're trying. And while I wait for them to fix the wand, I figured, why not take a little breaky break today, maybe explore some of this place. I haven't really been hanging out in medieval worlds that much, I don't know much about this place. Why not explore? Oh, speaking about exploration, my lovelies, this reminds me of a story involving an elderly sheltered king who starts to question things and wants to learn more about the world and his kingdom. The story I'm talking about is called The King's Choice by R.L. Polesgrove, and it is a interesting little tale.
River is not quite sure how long they have been an author, and they have written over 8 books. They got into writing stories to create a safe space for their readers. Sadly, River was trafficked as a child, and they want to use their writing talent to give a voice to the voiceless and punish the people who traffic them. I applaud River for their courage to not only stand up to the people who hurt them, but using their books to create a welcoming space for others. Experiencing the pain River suffered understandably would make anyone feel terrified of their abusers hurting them again. Their courage to do so is inspiring. When one voice stands up for the voiceless, it can encourage others to feel less afraid to speak out. River's inspiration for this story arrived when a random scene popped in their head involving the main 2 characters, and they wanted to explore the idea further. They also wanted to branch out into different genres. Because this story was different from their other works, when it came time to publish The King's Choice, they were worried they wouldn't do as good of a job with storytelling with it. Now, what this author loves the most about books is how books can help people extend empathy to not only themselves, but others.
Who is this king anyway, and what exactly does he have to choose?
After losing his father, the young Prince Ellis steps up to the throne. He promises his father in his final hours that he would find a husband for his introverted sister, Rachel. In the days following his father's death, a string of diplomats visit to offer gifts and condolences after leading a relatively sheltered life. Ellis is fascinated by the handsome Prince Kyson. Enthralled by Kyson's stories of his adventures, the two form a deep bond. Ellis sees an opportunity and uses his newfound authority as king to push Rachel and Kyson into an engagement. Despite their protests, Ellis believes he is doing the best thing for both of them.
Is Ellis a good king, or is he an evil one?
At first, Ellis is not being the best king. It's not out of him being a selfish prick or willful ignorance. His father kept him and his sister a little too sheltered, even for royals. Also, he is weighed down by the promise he made to his father on his deathbed about finding his sister a husband, which is a subject I will get deeper into later. Anyway, Ellis is trying to do his best to be a good king, but he's struggling with that. until he meets Prince Caitson. Caitson is an adventurous soul who loves exploring more of the world. His stories of his adventures open a new world for Ellis. Ellis's fascination with Caitson inspires him to go and learn more from the people he rules over, making him aware of many problems in his kingdom. Ellis makes a point that he needs to do better and do more for his people. However, he does not have the resources to fully solve the issues in his kingdom. Now, if you want to know what the issues in Ellis's kingdom are, I am not going to tell you. You'll just need to read this story to find out. Anyway, my lovelies, when Caitson is getting ready to return home, Ellis does not want to say goodbye to him. Remembering that he was supposed to find his sister a hubby, he suggests to Caitson that he should marry his sister Rachel, an offer of which Caitson awkwardly accepts.
When Ellis gets Caitson to agree to marry his sister, he keeps telling himself, this is a good idea. I'm doing it for my people and they'll be happy together, but Ellis isn't exactly being true to himself.
Something that happens back in the day and probably still goes on now, to be honest, is a gay person hiding a relationship or wanting to be near somebody they're romantically interested in without the relationship getting public, by having their love interest marry a family member or a close friend to keep the person they pine for near them, but not getting outed as a homosexual. Now, Ellis, unlike many of those who have intentionally done this in the past, is doing this because he's not being sincere with himself, and that is to a degree to be expected. Ellis, as I mentioned earlier, is extremely sheltered. He's just now starting to learn a whole lot more about the world, his kingdom, and his own sexuality, so he hasn't fully come to terms with the fact that he is gay. Now, Ellis's need to get Caitson to marry his sister does shift a bit. As I mentioned earlier, Ellis's kingdom got problems that he can't really solve that easily, but a marriage between his sister and Caitson would fix all of this, because Caitson's kingdom has the resources and the marriage would result in a mutually beneficial trading agreement. Something else that I did enjoy about the author making Ellis and his sister both extremely sheltered and therefore messing up at the whole taking care of the kingdom thing is because it is in its own way reflective of actual royals in history. If any of you know Louis XIV, then you know that he was more obsessed with doing whatever the hell he wanted than taking care of his people and being willingly ignorant of how bad things were getting for the common people in France. His grandson, Louis XVI, pretty much continued this behavior until a certain revolution happened, but I'm not going to get all deep into the French Revolution in this review. If you wish to know more about that, I suggest you look it up. It was an interesting event. The Louis were not the first rulers to do something like that, but I'm referencing them because if it had not been for Caitson, Ellis may have been taken out in a similar way to Louis XVI. Sure, in Ellis's case, it would not have been out of willful ignorance. Just him being overly sheltered and not getting closer to his people to know that there was a problem to begin with. Still showing how easily there can be a great disconnect between a king and his people is something that is seen in history, and it made the story feel more realistic, which allowed me to get more immersed in the story. Lastly, I do like the fact that Ellis as a character was somebody who was willing to learn and recognize when he wasn't doing something right. And unlike some of the rulers in the past who chose to continue to ignore the issue until the people got above and beyond pissed off, actually makes an effort to try to fix it. Marriage. Marriage is only the beginning. Wedded Bliss available now.
So, I am definitely having fun. I am grateful I took today off just to relax and explore this town. Found a lot of fine shops I may frequent in the future. Speaking of fun, how much fun are Kateson and Rachel having with their whole engagement?
What about our happy couple of Rachel and Kateson? Well, they like each other as friends, but the idea of being married to each other, that doesn't really work for them. And it's not just because Kateson wants to sleep with Rachel's brother. Kateson is someone who loves being out in the world and going on adventures and exploring and occasionally getting to battles and all that jazz. Meanwhile, Rachel would much rather stay at home with a book. I did, with all the marriage shenaniganery, find it interesting that there was way more pressure on Rachel to marry than Ellis. Yes, women back in those days were expected to marry in order to, have some form of prosperity according to the men. As the heir, there also would have been a lot of pressure before their father even felt sickly to marry Ellis off as soon as possible to protect the royal bloodline. It's just what they did. Part of me suspects that Ellis's father suspected Ellis was gay and decided it would be easier to have Rachel birth the next heir. I'm not sure, that's just my theory, and the king died, so I'll never know the answer. The last thing I wish to discuss is Kateson is an interesting character, not just because he's supposed to be Ellis's romantic interest. He has a major effect on both Ellis and Rachel. Yes, Ellis more than Rachel, but he still affects both of them dramatically by pulling them both out of their comfort zone. When Kateson goes to town, he insists both Ellis and Rachel should go to town, and this gets them more into the world of their kingdom, and they start to explore more of the kingdom because of him. Ellis starts to desire to see more of the world and start questioning more things, and Rachel, who, as I mentioned before, is extremely introverted, becomes a little bit less shut off and is willing to take more of an active role with things than she used to outside of reading books, making her a much more interesting character to read about.
Alrighty, my lovelies. So, I've done some exploring today. It was fun and all that, but I really should go to that shop and see if they're done fixing my wand. But before I go, I should probably give you the butterfly score for this book. So, when it comes to The King's Choice by R.L. Polesgrove, I am giving it the rating of 5 butterflies out of 5. This was a fun read and a very nice light read. It was enjoyable to read all the way through. And my lovelies, if you're looking for a good light read, I cannot recommend this story enough. It was just really, really good. Now, my lovelies, real quick before I go to the wine shop, if you enjoyed this video, to keep the YouTube algorithm from picking on me, please give it a like. Leave me a little comment. And if you have not yet, slap that subscribe button like it owes you money. And don't forget to give that little notification bell a ring. And with that, my lovelies, this video is a wrap. Now, if you please, come with me as we dance into a world of magic.